This is the watershed landscape, often visited, inspiring and dramatic, but also overlooked and sometimes neglected. It's a landscape shaped by its hard-working past. Three years ago, Pennine Prospects, working with our partners, started with an idea, a vision to invest in this Cinderella landscape, to repair the damage caused by generations of neglect and misuse. And we found generous funders, the Heritage Lottery Fund and South Pennine Leader, who shared our vision.
This is a partnership of passionate people to really restore the uplands of the South Pennines. For donkey's years, they've been polluted with the industrial factories of Lancashire and Manchester and Yorkshire. This is about the people of the uplands that really care, making a real difference.
This moorland, the watershed landscape, is internationally important. It's internationally important for ground nesting birds, for the peat resources, for water supply. Lottery money has allowed us to put something back into this landscape.
This is our story. 28 projects, 14 partners, 8,000 school children. We've flown kites, built walls, held exhibitions and created hay meadows for rare birds. We brought about real changes for real people. Some people have found their dream job through the project. Some have found new passion for a familiar landscape. But all of us have had the chance to appreciate just how important and beautiful our upland environment is. For wildlife, for us, for the future. This is our legacy.
The reason we're here today is that the twite feeds only on seed, even when it's feeding its young. And through scything, we will be getting this meadow back into subcondition, which will help the twite.
The bracken's really invasive, with nothing sort of eats it at all. It'll just take over the moorland. So successive rollings over the years just tend to kill it back in areas.
If we look further back in time, there's another watershed. We have to go back 5,000 years to the Neolithic. The present open landscape of grass, rush and heather was itself formed then by the first farmers who cut down many of the trees that grew here, leaving the landscape that would become the moorland.
Once we start getting towards Easter and the weather starts drying out and warming up, that's when the real dangers start. 9 years ago we lost 1,000 acres of good moorland. Things have moved on from there. Cooperation between the fire brigade, the farmers and the gamekeepers is much better, and we now work together and are coordinated through a fire operations group which is funded through Pennine Prospect.
This project marks the time to put back and repair the damage so that future generations can start to take more sustainably from these hills. Now this hard-worked landscape has a pivotal role to play in rising to the contemporary challenge of climate change. The plants, birds and other wildlife are tough enough to stand the wild conditions here, but have been hit hard by pollution, overgrazing, accidental fires and erosion. The power to inspire is enduring, and it's reflected in the work of contemporary artists and writers who've worked to express this landscape.
What's really important for us as a project is that we actually engage with as many different people as possible. So those are people who might visit the uplands, but just as important, those people who never visit the uplands, who might not see why this landscape is important to them. So the artists were challenged to bring the whole story of the South Pennines to life.
What we've been doing all day is we've been in Ted Hughes's birthplace in Maidenroyd. It's a beautiful little house, and we've had these 8 poets, and they're going to share their ideas about what they think this local landscape is and what it means.
Your lot come up from the east, east wind from the tundra, cold crust of your thoughts.
You come from the west, sunsetters, all of you, in love with endings. From here, I can almost see the border a mile beyond Cornholm and in Todmorden, the old line splitting the town hall in two. On the one side, I belong.
The cusp of something, the fold in the moss roof of the hills, shouldering water either side of this. Heather receding to the brow line of the water, underbelly of the land exposed. Thin instruments jackdaws call their feet, kneading along the moor's split crust. The wall on its knees to drink, the moving silver trolley of the water moored. A sky which runs in each direction from this upturned spoon of earth. The day balanced on its end, liquid equinox. This is a tough but inspiring landscape that has stirred a range of artists and writers, including Ted Hughes in the Brontes.
A ruined farmhouse thought to have been the inspiration for Wuthering Heights has had some restoration work done that should preserve it for the next 10 years.
It's only 2.5 miles to the tea shops of Haworth, but we could be in another world. And it is this wild aspect of the Bronte story that the project wants more people to see.
The restoration project also has an artistic side. Simon Warner has been photographing this spot for decades. He hopes to teach landscape photography to people who've never seen a moor, then bring them here to take photos for an exhibition.
We got involved in the project when Simon Warner came to our college and he asked if we wanted to do work experience on the moors, and we just jumped at the chance because we're very outdoorsy. Yeah.
We're here at Cartwright Hall for the culmination of my first year and Sally's first year of the Inspired by Landscape Watershed Landscape project. And it's just incredible to finally be here and see the end product of what we've been working on for so many months.
The stories of the people who formed the moors are hard to find, but their marks remain in the cup and ring carvings they left in the landscape they abandoned. These moors and their story are deeply melded with the communities that surround them.
Now, as an archaeologist, I'm fascinated by the story about how the landscape evolved, because it actually developed through the interaction of humans working this landscape. But one of the things we do have in this area is these wonderful links with the past, these echoes of the people that actually were working this landscape. And these are known as carved rocks. And this particular one is known as the planets.
We have to be aware of just how much we are a product of the past. And it's how we relate with our past that will shape what happens in the future.
Do you see another one?
Can you see that one there? That's 2 rings.
Yeah, I do see that.
The cups are north to south and west to east. What we're doing on the CSI project is recording all the prehistoric carved rocks that appear on Rombold's Moor.
The recording technique is based on reflectance information, and that's captured in reflective targets.
Yep.
Alright, shoot.
What we do see with PTM is when you're able to move the light around, more things do actually jump out of you than you would see on a single still. And that's the beauty of this technique, is that it just shows up the minute scratches that are on the stones.
Okay, we're going to be standing on the ground and we're going to be playing with the air.
We're not a national park. We've never had the resources of a national park, and we've spoken to over 2,000 pupils. So we've been able to take the story of a watershed landscape back into our towns and cities.
That's what I'm trying to do in this project, is sort of generate that excitement and buzz that I've heard from the school is still going on weeks and weeks after we've been up on the moor, and that's fantastic.
I'm working with 2 Year 5 classes and they're coming to do some archaeological digs.
It was brilliant working with the ladies residents of Mytham Court.
It's made me look at things more. I've looked at the sky and I've looked for the heather and I've looked for things.
I thought that was a really good session, and you got the brain going as well. It was really good.
We love our moors!
Our project has been led by Pennine Prospects and a strong partnership of other local, regional and national organisations. It's the combination of all these different people, along with enthusiastic volunteers, that have brought this project to life.
I enjoyed the chainsaw work the most. Just getting the chance really to have proper training in that field has been invaluable, but to get it funded through Pennine Prospects has been brilliant. Really enjoyed it.
We've got apprentices and volunteers and the smile on their face when they start to talk about this project, what they've learned from it, the friends they've made from it, up there on the moors. It's been fantastic.
I think it's the nature of the work. I think people enjoy getting stuck into it, and the more you volunteer, the more you find out about it.
I like to feel I'm putting something back into the countryside because I've got a lot of enjoyment over the years. It was a pretty awful day. It was cold and it was wet, and I thought, what on earth am I doing here? But I came back and I'm still here, so it can't have been all that bad.
If we don't start banging on about why it's so important, if we don't make people realise that once it's lost, it's lost forever, then we'll have done our children a great disservice.
Between this ride and that Thwaite, let's play our part. Let's recycle history and use it as a foundation of legacy. Let's build something that will remain and look over the earth long after it ceases to be anything other than there.
The Watershed Landscape Project has left its own mark on the landscape, its heritage and its people. Not only through physical improvements like the repaired dry stone walls and the improved moorland footpaths, but also by the way people now think about, appreciate and use the South Pennines for recreation, for work, for life. This is our legacy. This is our watershed.